Hello and welcome everybody. Today is a special edition because this is a very urgent funding appeal for Dr. Millicent Black. So we are launching a month-long campaign in September to help her case and help her with her medical expenses. And the people who are new to this, Dr. Millicent Black is a very high-profile case. She has multiple illegal bioimplants, and they're used to torture her and to degrade her body. She's been fighting this criminality that she's been exposed to for 27 years. She has also court cases, and she's preparing another court case. She needs urgent assistance with her medical expenses right now. And what people should know is that these medical expenses she has go directly into investigating the crimes against humanity that not just she is suffering from, but as we know, thousands and thousands of people who are also illegally implanted and tortured by the military and their intelligence services all around the world. So I'm very pleased to welcome Dr. Millicent Black. So Millicent, tell us about your case and tell us about the sort of expenses that you have to bear.
Hello, Dr. Horton. I am so appreciative of you giving me this opportunity to share with the community the kinds of expenses, medical expenses that I endure, but also the kinds of testing that can be had or asked for by those who can afford them. The most unfortunate thing about many of the tests that can be had is that a lot of them are cash payments. That has been successfully done by me in the prior years. However, right now I am facing just multiple specialist expenses, from cardiologists to endocrinologists, ear, nose, and throat doctor because of a thyroid issue. And by the way, I found out several years ago that what causes the thyroid to have nodules or to get a goiter is actually toxins in the body. And that can surely be gauged by the immense uh, number of toxins that we are exposed to from radiation and other environmental exposures. I have, gee, I have sleep study expenses. Um, I'm trying to see this week. I had a neuropsych exam. I've been seeing a neurologist continuously for about 15 months now because of the numerous assaults to my brain. And by the way, when we are assaulted in our brain, it does indeed cause inflammation in various areas, and that inflammation can, of course, decrease the functioning of that area of the brain, which then shows up in maybe slurred speech, sometimes forgetfulness, um, lack of concentration, that kind of thing. So I have all of these expenses, not just from here in Tennessee, but also from when I lived in Ohio, that I am trying to keep up with, in addition to buying the medications that are prescribed by and a pharmacist. I've been going to a pharmacist for about 6 years now. He has a health food store called Osa's Garden in Florence, Alabama. What he does there is a bio uh, feedback scan called ASIRA, and the ASIRA scans you on a cellular level. So uh, the goal is to identify anything that might cause cancer in our body, so that we can address it on a cellular level before it becomes a tumor, before it begins to, drain my blood, before it begins to need surgery for removal and that kind of thing. So I asked them a couple of months ago if they would give me a ticket, a listing of all of the supplements that are recommended by the month for this purpose, and it totaled $2,000. Obviously, I don't have $2,000 a month to buy all of the supplements that are recommended. So what I do is I buy what I can, and instead of taking them as directed, I take them at least once a day, just trying to keep something in my body. So, and in addition to that, is the expense of getting to these doctor appointments, because I live in Tennessee, and Tennessee is not giving me the protection that I need from the known assailant, nor and are protecting those who have not yet been known in a court case or been acknowledged in a court case go to different locations of the state to get medical attention, as well as to Alabama and on into Georgia when necessary. I have made an attempt to get chips removed from my body. I did find a surgeon who was doing that. That surgeon identified 6 locations of chips, 4 she thought could be removed. Of them, there was an attempt to remove one. I yet to determine if it has been removed for a couple of reasons, but one of those reasons is that there is a great expense with the in with the examination and the determination of the metals that's involved in that object that was removed. So, gee, I've kind of gone my gamut in ways to, fund and finance all of these mounting expenses. But at this point in time, I've just gotten to a place where I am not able to keep up. There's also an audiologist on my actually helped me to locate a Morse code signal being sent into my right ear canal. So for those of us who have tinnitus, that hissing sound, you may agree with me, it is actually behind the ear, behind the head. It's not coming directly into the ear canal. However, the Morse code signaling was found actually in the ear canal and going directly to my brain. They was found in my right jaw. Um, Implants that look like transformers that might be the property of the military. The chiropractor that identified that object in my body documented that he felt it was at C1 of my brain. And so C1 is right about here. And that area in 2009, 10, and 11 was actually scanned by a chiropractor in this area. And he documented that C1 and 2 were chronically. Last July, I was taken to the hospital by ambulance in the middle of the night. And when they did a CT scan, that area of the brain was also found to be inflamed. So when I called it to the attention of the neurologist, she decided to do more testing because she agreed with me that I should not still be having inflammation or ever, for that matter, have inflammation in that area of my brain. There was found there's at least a nodule that my medical doctor explained to me. Generally, a nodule comes from an object being in that area of the body where initially your body kind of goes around it to encapsulate it or to secure it in that one location. She said the longer it stays, though, that encapsulation becomes hardened. So you could have a calcified nodule or a fleshly nodule. And I've had both kinds identified in my body, one in my heart, one in my spleen. Um, there was some in my lung, in my left lung in particular, I believe. Um, and any of those, you see what Dr. Katherine Horton, who actually have written bills against microchipping of animals, what she exposed was that those nodules actually can become cancer. Just the fact that we know that they're in my body, and the possibility or the probability is that they were there encapsulating unidentified objects that have been placed there is significant. The other significant thing about the heart issue is that I do have a scar on my chest that has been documented by a medical doctor who is also an electrical engineer. And that medical doctor a laser scar, which means that without my consent, without my permission, someone has gone into my chest, literally gone into my chest. And another cardiologist said they could have cut my chest open at the area of the heart and then put a needle inside to place an implant there. So then the dangers of having an implant in my heart is that my heart could be traumatized and makes it stop beating, or it could be used to burst it altogether. And without the knowledge that there's something in my body that death could be determined to be uh, natural causes.
You know what?
So the
Sorry to interrupt. You know what, for all the listeners, it's so incredible. If all these people are new to this topic, I want them to be aware of the absolute out of bounds psychopathic criminality we're dealing with here, you know, as regards the intelligence agencies and the military, because they're literally going around, they are ganging up on innocent women, and they chip their bodies. They even conduct heart surgery, provably, as you just heard, with laser scars that appear on women's chests, you know, that they haven't consented to, and then they later find out that their hearts have been chipped. And by the way, I can totally back up what you said, because my heart can also be remote controlled. And they have demonstrated they can remote control my heart. So I'm pretty sure that they've put in a chip or some sort of remote controllable pacemaker that I've never consented to. And this is not for medical reasons. This is entirely for their sadistic and often sexual gratification of torturing a woman.
That's right. When I reported that particular finding to the DA's office, because it was actually identified in 2012 by a cardiologist in Alabama, the report said that there was they called it an artifact found in the left basal wall, and it says specifically in the soft tissue, which is where microchips are put, so when I reported that to the DA's office here in this county, they said, well, that would have been with no medical oversight and for no medical reason. And he did say, if you can get the police department to investigate, we'll prosecute. But I couldn't get the police department to investigate. Instead, they tried to turn it on me, as you know, what their usual kickback is.
Oh, absolutely.
However,
sorry, just to interject, because I've got to back you up on this. I want people to know that I have personally called the chief of Columbia Police, and I have personally talked to him, as has our colleague Karen Melton-Stewart, who's a 28-year veteran of the NSA. She was an NSA Intelligence Analyst. We both called this police department, and they refused to investigate. They refused after two people backed you up. And the other thing that really shocked me is that on your behalf, after the police let you down, we even called the FBI in Memphis and the FBI in Nashville. And both FBI officers, first of all, when I got through to them to report about this crime, they hung up on me. Each of them hung up on me 3 times. And I've got this phone call recorded. So I couldn't even, they refused to even record the crime. And after I managed to actually get them to record it, they refused to call me back to collect any further evidence on or act on it in any way. And unless the police prosecutes, you just can't do anything. So your legal bills are just mounting and mounting. And you know what? These people just go out there, use women like us as guinea pigs, as research subjects, get huge amounts of money for the amount of research and also the human trafficking that they do with us. And then they leave us with all the legal expenses. That's what we're dealing with.
That's exactly what I'm dealing with. The testing that I've had done just on my heart, I had a nuclear cardiac scan in 2013, but then last year I was sent to a cardiologist in Murfreesboro, Tennessee for what they call a 26 slice CT scan of my heart. They were over there trying to locate that object that I had spoken about. He did his scan. He did it twice, but then he didn't send all of the information to the cardiologist that referred me to him. So she just said, well, you're okay. I'll see you in a year unless you have heart problems. Several months later, I went to see just a medical doctor in another area of the state, took her those medical records, and she immediately sent me to another cardiologist for more testing. So there I had another scan. I had the stress test that was chemically induced. And what I'm experiencing now, Katherine, is when I go to these doctors, I have straight Medicare from a medical disability. They're asking for their copay up front. So they could want anywhere from $200 to $40. Earlier this week, it was $99 in one place and $90 in another. And I mean 2 days apart. And I don't have this extra money laying around. So what it ends up is a bill goes lacking because I need to pay these expenses to have the medical testing. Um, and it's just pushing me further and further away from being able to keep up. I do look for employment. In fact, I've been trying to do some research for others, but obviously that's when others can pay just like myself. And I do recognize the desperation, because I found the Asara scanner in 11 because some women knew what was happening to me, and they believed enough in it that they put their monies together so that I could go to see him. So I do understand what it's like to not have um, enough of what of what you need to get what you need. Um, it was just by having some excess monies from going back to school that I was able to go to Melinda Kidder and have the body scan. In that body scan, it showed that there were 53 places, um, 53 chips in 35 places of my body. Now imagine that, 53 chips in 35 places. There are 15 in my right leg, feet, and ankles, and 12 in my left. The one in my right leg is being used to destroy a total knee replacement that I had in 2002. And so since 2014, I've been in need of another uh, knee replacement. I wasn't getting the surgery fast enough because actually the orthopedic doctor in Ohio wrote a letter to the court on my behalf regarding those chips that she saw in that scan from Melinda. And she said that they can mask the pain, or they can be used to cause pain, which would make me not know where the pain is really coming from, but that she could see just from the x-rays that I would need to have that knee reworked.
Oh my goodness.
So
I literally, every sentence has such a bombshell. I mean, imagine, to get out 53 body implants, you need about, 35 to 53 operations. And that's what this psychopath has actually gotten you into, because we know who that is. This guy is a complete psychopath and is a really serial killer who's going around. And the reason why Millicent's case is so important is because we know for a fact that he's assaulting other women. In fact, he seems to have set up an entire training stream where he's showing other people how to torture your body and how to do it to others. So anybody
right,
who cares about the US and democracy and about the well-being of their beautiful daughters in the county of Tennessee and elsewhere, well, they should support you, because your case is really pivotal. Because that, by fighting for your case, they are fighting for the safety of their own children. Because the people he has trained, they are like swarms. They are swarming over York State, and they are swarming over the rest of the US. Forgive me for interrupting, but I just can't emphasize this enough.
no, you're right, and thank you for saying that. You're exactly right. People who would help me are indeed helping to expose this for their children and their grandchildren. I'll tell you that the person that has been using me to train other men said he was using me to train men how to mistreat women and girls. Um, I'm going to be sending you a copy of a nuclear bone scan that was given after I showed the orthopedic doctor in Ohio that body scan that Melinda Kidder had done, and you will be able to see from that the many locations just in a bone scan. And I showed it to another doctor. And he says, "Oh, those are all chips in your body."
Wow.
One area that is specifically inflamed, and that's what this bone scan is supposed to show, is my pubic area.
Gosh.
And I get locked onto when I am traveling and when I am driving long distances, and the pain that is caused there, the pain and the distraction, is something. You'll see that my feet are also heavily chipped. And right in this last week, I've had a lot of assaults to my feet and toes, whereby he's declaring that he wants to give me cancer in not just those areas, but all of the areas where you see the lit up spaces, as well as cause me to have amputations. Let me say though, Catherine, that it's not just a single individual who has chipped me. I will say that the ones that he specifically for torture, there are also medical implants placed in my body during the times that I've had surgeries that were probably caused by that individual, that is being used for body area network. There are some that are being used for probably the President's Brain Initiative,
Gosh.
and they did not show up in Melinda's scan, though frequencies did, and those frequencies have been linked to specific universities, organizations, families, trusts, that in one way or another can go back to Department of Defense research.
That's incredible. That is such a bombshell. You know, I mean, what you're saying is in a nutshell, that you have these body chips, the frequencies that they're emitting can be measured, and the precise frequency that they're emitting on is licensed. And by looking up who has licensed that frequency, you can tell who's using that frequency, because they have licensed the use of the frequency. So by finding out what precise frequency your body is emitting, you can find the perpetrators. Or put it another way, you can find the people who have a huge monetary benefit by using your body and by working your body non-stop through these chips and the many other assault methods that they have. You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you is I think you sent me these scans. If you are comfortable with me showing people, you can send them to my contact at stop007.org email, because then I can do a screen share. And if you want people to see just the many chip locations, I'm not sure. Are you happy with showing that? We don't have
not the one by Melinda, but the one that I just sent you to your email. Are you able to capture it and show it?
Yes.
Could
you forward that email to my other email, the contact at stop007.org, because that's the one I can access from here straight away.
Okay.
And then I can show it straight away, because I wanted to do a screen share for people to just see. You know, the other scan shows the many, many locations where you have chips. And one of the things I want to say to people is that everything Millicent has said, I can back up. So Millicent is being assaulted in Tennessee in the US. I'm being assaulted in Britain, in Germany, and in Switzerland. And my colleague, or our colleague, Melanie Vritschan, is in Belgium. And she was chipped and assaulted in Belgium. And I think the locations where we have our body chips are virtually identical. So, you know, when you mentioned having many chips in your toes, I have them too. Melanie has them. We have chips around our knees, our ankles. I also have one in the wrist, in my elbow and my arms. I have a lot of chips on my head. And for those people who cannot believe that this is real, they can go to my Stop 007 YouTube channel, where under the section Finding Nazi Implants or Detecting Nazi Implants, you can see me actually checking my body with a bug scanner, a bug finder, and you can find the emissions from these chips. So everything that Millicent says is the truth and is backed up by thousands of other women, and certainly by everybody in our team. So I'm going to wait for this email to arrive, and then once you see the body scan. Pardon?
I've sent two, and I want to send you a copy of my knee, so that you can see how I wasn't going to surgery fast enough. So he shaved the bone away from the implant, so that my leg is so unstable.
Gosh. I mean, imagine. So the situation is the perpetrator, being military trained, has got access and has been given access to this military weapon technology of directed energy weapons, whereby using the actual energy and frequency of the wave, you can go in as you want to into a human body and damage the part of the human body that you choose to. So as you know, as Millicent says, they can target any part of her body, and they can damage specific bones, and they cannot even, you know, damage cartilage and do it very specifically. So, you know, everybody has to understand that we're dealing with a type of criminality that is unprecedented. The women who are being assaulted by the military and the intelligence agencies are kept like slaves. They are publicly mutilated. They're mutilated in their own homes, non-stop, especially at night. This is done through the many, many body chips on the head and elsewhere in the body that can be hooked up through the signals that they send to computers, and those computers can remote steer these people and their entire body function, and they can remote steer the torture so that you can be tortured 24/7. And people, you have to understand that this criminality is not going away. In fact, it's being expanded, because as we're telling you, every single one of these perpetrators is training up hundreds and hundreds of other perpetrators to swarm the country and to do this to many other people. And before the show, you know, Dr. Black and I, we talked, and she pointed me to the actual act of Congress that brought in or legalized the chipping of every person born in the US. And that was in the 70s, I think.
1985.
Oh, sorry, 1985. So since
Ronald Reagan.
And signed by Ronald Reagan. So since 1985, the children were chipped without consent, without knowledge. And this is a direct continuation. You know how the Nazis used to tattoo a serial number into people's arms? Well, now you don't even notice, and the serial number has been implanted in you. But it's worse than a serial number, because this is a chip with functionality that can be used to give you targeted illnesses. It can give you targeted joint pain that you think you had a sports injury or something. You will spend a lot of money trying to cure your chip, and at the end of the day, they will make you stop spending money on your medical expenses when they choose to, and they will not tell you that in actual fact you're being implanted, because that is what's happening to many people. This is just.
Have you get the emails yet?
Hang on, let me see. Yes, I got one email. Yes, I can see. I think I got the email with the implant. Is that your jaw?
That's my jaw, and that's actually the finger of the chiropractor who took the X-ray. Okay,
let me actually make that. I will do a screen share, and I'll let people see this. Just a second. I mean, this is something to behold, really. Let me share my screen. Okay, so the image that Millicent is referring to is this one. You can see this is her ear, her jawline, and her fingers pointing at an implant. And is that in your tooth or in your jaw?
That's in my jaw.
That's incredible.
It's actually in the fleshly part of the jaw. What makes it interesting is that when you go to the dentist, all of your X-rays at the dentist office, at least the panoramic views, with your mouth closed. So with your mouth closed, that implant would be hidden.
I see.
He only saw that because he needed to take an X-ray of C1 and C2 of my mouth, and he said that that could only be seen with my mouth wide open. So that's with my mouth wide open, and that implant is showing right in the very center. My medical doctor told me recently that that's actually in the bite.
That's incredible. And when I blew up the image, I can also see what looks like, is that two antennas, or are they just two tenterhooks that grip onto?
Yeah, that's definitely a transformer.
That's a transformer. I mean, that's incredible. So you can actually see it on X-rays. I mean, imagine people when you're being implanted with things like that, and that can be used. It's so incredible. So, you know, we are applying for funds to stop this criminality, because Dr. Black has not consented to be implanted like that. She hasn't consented to any of the 53 chips. But I think also, apart from the one to your heart, where you woke up and you noticed the scar, all the other implants you never noticed when they were put in, right?
Right, I did not notice at all. You should have received another email by now, and that would have been of my knee. The desperation I have of having the knee surgery, and why it's so dangerous to me even to be walking, even with the help of a walker.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm actually looking at my inbox. The email hasn't arrived yet. But the other thing that we're also dealing with is non-stop sabotage by this perpetrator and these swarms of agents who have got access to hacking tools and so on. And the people who follow our investigative group, so Dr. Black and I, we're members of the joint investigation team that's conducting investigations in the US and Europe against these crimes against humanity that are being committed. And we have weekly shows on Thursdays called the Techno Crime Fighters Forum. And if you follow us, you can just see week on week the ever-changing sabotage that we're put through. So yes, I think it now arrived. So let me show people. So I'm going to share my screen again. So this is now an X-ray of your knee, and then what we can see on this image is, I guess are these the hip replacements, the really bright, the T and the big U?
That's actually the knee replacement. That's the prosthetic of the knee replacement. But you can also see how the bone is shaved away. Notice that the top bone doesn't touch the metal.
There, yes.
That was deliberately shaved away, and it had to have been done with a laser.
That's incredible.
While I laid in bed.
Yes, so you can see this huge gap here between the implant and the bone, and that is malicious. So this is what the military can do to you people whilst you're sleeping in bed. They can shave your bones off. And then I also see a bright area to the left of the top, what's it called? The actual artificial knee.
The prosthetic. Yeah, that's the knee cap. And there is another email coming. Coming that shows that knee with the bone fully in place, but it also shows a lot of circles on it where implants are, and that kneecap is full of implants.
That's incredible. So, so these are all the different methods that the military, this perpetrator in the military, has chosen to assault you with non-consensually. And people, just imagine the amount of pain and suffering that Millicent has been put through. And also be very aware that if you don't help us with these court cases to oppose this sort of criminality, and it's coming to your doorstep, because these people are going for everybody. If you're poor, they're going to go for you because you're poor and because you're helpless. But if you're rich, they're also going to go for you because there's so much to get from you through blackmail. And it's so valuable to actually chip your daughters and have your daughters tortured, you know, because I think this is what we're dealing with. There's a huge premium for having, you know, the beautiful daughters of rich men and women tortured by people who are your enemies, or people who are just envious of your income, you know. So this is the rampant criminality we're dealing with. So what people should understand is that when a society becomes so criminal, there are a couple of turning points that can be taken, but this can be stopped. And court cases are the best way to actually stop this criminality, because it's a public display of the criminality. It's shown to the public, everybody can go, and it leaves a public record, and then action has to be taken by the state. If you don't support Dr. Black, you are literally not just risking, but it's actually guaranteed that your children will be attacked by this technology, because it's so highly profitable, and most likely they're already chipped, believe it or not, you know. So
I'm sorry. One of the things that I wanted to add, as you talk about how they are chipping families, and is to reiterate that billionaire families are investing in the frequencies that are being used to assault us. And not just that, but one family that I found on my frequency list, I tracked back and I typed in cases, and that family had actually been sued for racketeering. So that kind of confirms the human trafficking in it. It confirms the abuse of humans, which leads to crimes against humanity.
absolutely. And this is very important to know, because these people, a lot of them are highly psychopathic individuals, and they will not stop themselves. You know, they will not stop themselves, and with their billions, they will just load more and more people into these programs. And if we don't stop them, that's the future we're looking towards. I'm going to share my screen and show people the third X-ray that you sent me. And this one is very important, because you can see again the knee that you saw before, but you can also see highlighted the different areas here, here, there, where definitely chips can be seen here, and also in this region that have been identified by the radiologist. And for all those medics who don't know about these crimes, they look at these things and they often call them calcifications or nodules. And unless you know about the fact that these could also be chips, you will never think about it. But the way you can tell that these are body implants or chips, illegal chips, is that these things are emitting in the high frequency range. The human body does not emit in the high frequency range.
Right. Notice that the bone is all intact in the top part, in that particular. Yeah. See, there's no shaving away there.
Yes.
And that was the first one. So then the second one you saw with the bone shaved away is in an attempt to hasten me to have to go to surgery.
Yes. Sorry, I will actually just show the contrast to the previous one here, where you can see this big gap. So that is what Millicent is referring to. It's this area here. You can see that clearly tissue has been shaved away. It has been artificially damaged. This is just.
And also notice that the spacer between the knee, I've got a new one that shows that spacer has been totally destroyed, and now the bone, the two prostheses are just laying on each other.
Yeah. Yes. And that is, I mean, the amount of sadism and malice is just unbelievable. And I'm about to show the nuclear bone scan, and take us through this one. What can we see here?
What you can see up in my upper, that looks like upper right or left side of my neck.
Yeah.
Look at the one in the middle. That shows an excessive amount of inflammation there. That's definitely determined to be a chip of some sort. If you come down, just come straight down, the center is lightened in the sternum area.
Mm-hmm.
Up a little bit just below the neck. That light, yeah, that's lightened up in the sternum area. And there is something up in that area as indicated in my bone scan. Go straight down to the pubic bone, that next lighted area. Yeah, that's the pubic bone. Over on the wrist, that's considered to be unusual inflammation, something there. And then you can see in the knees, both knees, yeah, the light there.
Yeah.
Then down on top of the foot, there, as well as in the toe. That's the right toe. Yeah, that's the right toe.
Yeah, you can see how it's just lit up here as well, there and there. I mean, this is just incredible. And the light areas are highlighting areas of inflammation. Is that right?
That's correct. It was explained to me that when they put the radiation in my body, or iodine, it would only go to the places where there was inflammation. There's something that I need you to point to, Katherine, right down in the middle between my legs, right down below the pubic bone. See that little, yeah, right there. That is some kind of spigot that has been put into, it may be connected into my bladder, where they can make me appear to have wet my clothes when I have not.
Yeah. And that,
now talk about cruelty.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, that sort of chipping to force urinate people is very common. So Ramola talked about forced urination. I have also heard other women talk about that. And it's one of these standard things that they do to humiliate women, that women are forced, they wet themselves basically. And it's all remote controlled through these chips. And what these chips do is they are linked, signals are being sent. So it's almost like having a mobile phone chip in your body in all these places. And the mobile phone traffic, even when the chip isn't triggered, is just inflaming the tissue, because your tissue is not there to house a mobile phone emitter, that's sending and receiving. But when these chips are triggered, they can cause pain, they can cause chemical reactions. In fact, that's the entire point, to trigger pain and inflammation in the area of the chip, to incredible pain. So you can just see by this how someone... Sorry?
I've been attacked in my knee.
Oh my goodness.
And too many advertisements, so let's keep going.
This is just surreal. So whilst we're talking, he's attacking you in the knee.
What people have to understand is he's not just a sociopath or a psychopath. He is also an exhibitionist. An exhibitionist has to be seen. They have to be noticed. He called himself Jack the Ripper in 2008. You remember Jack the Ripper always left his calling card on the women that he murdered.
That's so sick. So what I want everybody to understand is that this perpetrator has been identified years ago. The police has been informed. He's a psychopath. He's been given access to military technology, but he's also a serial killer who has got a kill list that he brags about. And he keeps bragging about all the other people he mutilates and that he also kills. And the police department has been informed, and they refused to arrest him. In fact, military intelligence has been informed, and they refused to arrest him. The FBI has been informed, and they refused to arrest him. So what we're now moving towards is basically charging them all with aiding and abetting crimes against humanity. And one of the things that I will literally ensure will happen is that all these people have to pay for letting you down, Millicent. But this is just incredible. So right now we're in a stage where we are collecting the evidence, we're putting together the cases, and what everybody has to understand is that this is not an isolated case. We are fighting a government program of systematic takedown of an entire nation. And there are thousands of women like Millicent. Most of them do not have the connections, are not as articulate, and don't have the stamina that Millicent has. And a lot of them have killed themselves out of desperation or were murdered by these psychopaths. So we are here to actually save lives. So anybody who values the US, who values democracy and values their health and the sanity of the population has to support us. So please click on the link below, go to the GoFundMe page that Millicent has set up, and please donate so that we can stop this criminality. And if you can, get in touch with the FBI in Memphis, in Nashville, and get in touch with the chief of police of Columbia and ask them why the hell they are not helping Dr. Black. Because I really think we need to start campaigning for you specifically, Millicent.
And tell them they've seen some of the implants that are in my body. I'm not delusional. Those x-rays and that nuclear body scan have my name on it and my date of birth.
Exactly. And I'm going to share my screen one more time because I want people to actually understand that that is the future that they are signing their children up to, because these people want everybody to look like that. The children are already implanted in places that we don't necessarily know where they are, but they can be tracked already. And what Millicent has also uncovered is that when people have car accidents and are taken into hospital, they are also chipped. She was actually told as much by a law enforcement officer. So this is a program, people, okay? So you might have some knee problems that you don't know where they're coming from. And
absolutely,
in actual fact, you might be crippled by one of these psychopaths.
You know, the ankle?
There, exactly.
Yeah.
Just look at it. And here you can see that what this psychopath is trying to do is cripple Millicent's legs and sexually assault her, right? That's what you see here. You can see the program right here. And he's also trying to cripple her right hand so that she's got pain writing, So this is what we're dealing with, people. No one can say this is delusions. This is not. These are Nazi war crimes. These are crimes against humanity. So please, click on the description below. I have put in the link to Dr. Black, and she has 2 GoFundMe pages. One is her legal fund, and today we're appealing for the medical fund because she most urgently needs support. And as she has demonstrated, all the medical testing that she gets done is not just to help herself, but also to bring a case to the courts that will benefit thousands of people, mostly women and children, as we know, who are being tortured and abused by these degenerate psychopaths in the military, who are just mentally ill and utterly out of control. And the general out of controlness of these agents has also been confirmed by whistleblowers in recent past. So none of the things we're saying are just, our own thoughts. They are actual facts. And people have to understand just the urgency of the situation. So this fundraising campaign is running throughout the entirety of September. We'll let you know at a later date how things are going. And I really ask you, if you don't have the funds to donate yourself, please join our campaign, tweet the link to this video, let other people know, let people know who have the funds and who value democracy, and let them understand just the gravity of this case and make them help Dr. Black, because without your help, we can't help all the thousands of other women. Dr. Black, do you have anything else you would like people to know?
I would just like to thank everyone for listening and remind you that prayer is a powerful tool and it's more valuable than the dollars. However, we all must spend our energies looking to the positive and working on a resolution to these issues that are affecting every single one of us, particularly women and children, women and girls in particular, but women and children. So please, 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 in this fight to stay alive. At this point, that's exactly what it is. Not just stay alive, but also to stay mobile, because I have hopefully shown you that my mobility is definitely at stake at this point. I have a doctor's letter actually that have documented the necessity for a second knee replacement. The last letter includes the need for bone repair. They're going to have to rebuild the bones. The surgery is going to be exceptionally expensive, as the recovery will be exceptionally long, as has already been noted by the doctor. I'm just trying to keep moving, and I do, and I will. I will keep moving, but with your help, I can continue to at least pay the bills that are being levied on me at the pleasure of sociopaths and psychopaths.
Absolutely. And everybody should know that Millicent is also fighting for thousands and thousands of other people who are exactly in the same position. And please support us, because we need to have this case tackled in the courts in the autumn as quickly as possible. She needs an emergency injunction, and for that she has to be in good health. And also we have to collect all this evidence and put it before a court. So please help us, and also know that any all the funds that you donate are going directly towards repairing to your democracy. They're going directly towards fighting the sort of crime that actually affects us all. Some without knowing, but some of us have already noticed this. So thank you very much, Dr. Black, and thank you to everybody who is listening. And please, please tweet the link and start donating. You'll find the donation link in the description below, and spread it far and wide, and we'll let you know how things are progressing. Otherwise, also, you can follow Dr. Black. Weekly, we appear on the Techno Crime Fighters Forum on Thursdays. I think that's 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll report back. And you can hear us report about all the work that we're doing, which is entirely in the public interest. So here with Dr. Black, you have a woman who's actually standing up and fighting for democracy in the US. She's fighting for the US. She's fighting for you. So please donate. And thank you for listening, and bye for now.
Katherine, let me